Good evening. Welcome to the Open Space and Ecology meeting of May 28th, 2025. And, oh, let's do the roll call. You start. Say your name. Here.
I'm trying to turn it on.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay,
Nikis.
Rohendra Atapatu, present.
Mary Rogers, present.
Anthony Walker, present.
Julie Armstrong, present.
Sorry, Erin Becker, present.
And Michelle Salmon present, and Barbara Ebel is currently absent. She may be here later. Do I have a move to adopt the agenda? Did everybody get a chance to look at the agenda?
I'll move to adopt the agenda. Sorry, Mary.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And the first thing on the agenda is, does anyone have any announcements? I have one announcement. June 21st, Saturday, San Bruno Mountain Watch is having a summer solstice celebration in the community park. It's free. Everyone's invited to come. It's kind of a BYO food block party type picnic. There will be live music. There will be makerspace stuff. There will be discussion groups. There will be lots of interesting things. So please, everyone, come and celebrate our mountain and the summer solstice. That's my announcement. Next is oral communications. Is there anyone who has oral communications they'd like to make? Paul Buscal.
Paul Buscal, Brisbane resident. I wanted to thank the city and the committee members that came out to our first Habitat/Stewardship Day at the Frog Habitat. It was very successful. All the work that everyone did is showing its efforts. The plants are doing really well, and the weeding that was done was very helpful. I recently was notified by the city that we were going to have a meeting tomorrow out there with the property owners, both at 50 Cypress Lane and 100 Cypress Lane, to go over a plan for how we're going to deal with the habitat. As most of you know, there was a situation where they weed whacked a good portion of the channel. Unfortunately, it was at the most critical time. But with that said, I'm grateful that the city was able to bring the property owners together to meet. The meeting tomorrow had been canceled, and so we're probably going to meet next month. And I was also notified by Keegan from Public Works that he wants to meet out there with the city's maintenance crews, not the city's crews, but the contractor that the city works with. So we have a plan going forward. So I'm very appreciative for that. And yeah, it was a good event. I know that they're going to be publishing the article in the Star, and Julie's information that you'd sent to the city regarding the event and what was going on out there is going to be included in a future announcement in some fashion. So yeah, I'm very grateful. I know you guys are going to be talking about the Baylands DEIR tonight, or
We're mostly just going to be talking about the scheduling of everything we're doing.
Okay.
One of the main things we're going to be talking tonight is
Okay.
the open space element.
So two things that I wanted to mention is that there's a serious broom infestation on Icehouse Hill, and that is a really viable wildflower and other native plant habitat, but the broom is really taken over. So I don't know how we can work with the Baylands to see if they can mitigate that instead of waiting for when there's some type of development plan. If we could catch it now, that would be really important. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that I know Icehouse Hill wouldn't be a place where they could put a water tank, which they need to do for the Baylands because it's pretty much an active slide. And so as far as it, you know, geographic formation out there, the geological formation, that wouldn't be viable, but it's my understanding that they're looking at the Levinson property for the tank. And with that said, I was hoping that the idea is to protect as much open space out there as possible and to also make a connection to get up to the trail network could be something that could be part of that, if that is in case the fact that they're going to use that portion of the land for a water tank.
Yeah.
So,
Paul, some of those things are beyond the scope of what we're
Yeah.
able to do, but also please know that for the draft DIR, as an individual citizen,
yeah,
you are more than welcome to submit comments. And in fact, you're very encouraged to submit comments because you're very knowledgeable about this area. And so you should definitely submit comments. And while you're standing there, let me also say that maybe we can try to work with the Baylands and put together a volunteer group to start working on the broom on Ice House Hill and get permission to mitigate that now before it gets any worse. It is on the invasive species list, I believe. So maybe that gives us a little bit of an edge. And
Yeah.
also personally and as a group, I want to thank you, we want to thank you for taking the lead with the frog habitat. That restoration day that we had was really wonderful, and your knowledge was great, and explaining to everyone what we were doing, why we were doing it, where we were doing it, and the future plans and how good it looks. And this is you, Paul. I mean, what a testament to your devotion and work, and I'm so pleased with that. And
Yeah,
really, from the bottom of my heart,
thank you. Thank you. And many people said that they would like to continue to be stewards out there. So I haven't sent anything out yet. I was waiting for the Star to come out with the little blurb that they're putting regarding the event. But yeah,
Let us know how we can help communicate, because this is a joint project
well,
that we're doing.
I'm appreciative that the city's moving forward with getting the property owners out there so we don't have any more disturbances out there.
Okay. And Karen, if you, the subcommittee, when we get to that part, we'd love to be involved in that meeting, if
Well,
possible.
so what I was gonna say is I think what the meeting with Keegan is about our annual weed abatement that we do on public property. So we had a map from what was previously maintained, but I knew you planted in a little bit different areas. So I said, Keegan, make sure that you know the areas that we don't want to weed whack. What I think happened in the channel, you and Mary and I met with the operator of that facility, but the owner is doing the landscape maintenance, which is not what we understood from that meeting. So the owner went out and did
Right.
they got their order to cut their weeds and they did it. So that's what's gonna be corrected.
Yeah, I think we still need a memorandum of understanding with the property owner and the tenants of what our role will be in maintaining that and what their expectations of us are.
Yeah, and
Would
there
be,
was some,
yeah.
like I said, there was miscommunication because we met with the
Tenant.
tenant.
Yeah.
And they told us that
Yeah, so,
it would be fine.
well, we'll work it all
Yeah,
out.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you,
So
Paul.
thank you.
Oh, just one thing I just wanted to mention to Paul. The Education and Outreach Group met, last week? And the frog habitat came up. And so we'll go into a little bit more detail when we get to the subcommittee report. But please know that we are going to put on our OSEC calendar on a quarterly basis as a reminder to make sure that the maintenance of that habitat keeps going. So just as a reminder for all of us.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
And you can stay because it's better than live TV. Okay. Any other oral communications, any communications online? No? Okay.
Can I just ask real quickly?
Yeah.
We talked during the day of the restoration project about signage. Would it be horrible to have some kind of signage so that if there's churn and someone who didn't get the message goes out there, there's at least something on that fence that indicates that that's an unusual piece of land? Or would that be bad because it would draw more attention to it? But that did come up when we were looking at the damage, that there really was no sign at all.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have some kind of identification of what's going on there, maybe, you know, information about frogs. So that'd be a good subcommittee
At
topic.
least that way,
Yeah.
if there was churn and if somebody didn't get the message, we were thinking about a weed whacker with a big red circle and a slash, or just something that was very clear.
We could talk about that in the subcommittee section. Okay. Next, we have an approval of the minutes. Were there any changes to the minutes at all or anything that wasn't correct?
I thought they were good.
Would that-
Motion to approve.
Is there a second to approve?
Second,
Okay.
second to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. No opposed. Next, we go to old business, and this is our check-in on the Baylands draft EIR assignments. And so I have a list of the assignments, and how's everybody doing? I hope better than me. Erin?
I'm now ready to start.
Okay. I will say that having a hard copy, however tedious that is really makes it so much easier for some of us.
I learned with the last one that after 8 hours of screen time at work, I couldn't motivate myself to look at this on a
Yeah.
screen.
Okay. And Julie, how's it going?
I've done all of the ones directly assigned to me, except transportation. So I guess there's 2 pages, huh, because I'm not seeing the recreation one, so I was that. But that's just cruising it, so now I'm going back and thinking about the detailed comments.
Okay. Yeah, that's 4.18, parks, open space,
Here we
and
go. I
recreation.
knew my name was on another one. I've done that one and the biology one. I haven't done the transportation yet.
Yeah, okay, good. And Anthony, you've probably done them all, right?
I'm pretty much all the way through the specific plan at this point. The EIR, I haven't really started in earnest yet. But there is a lot of crossover, so I'm hoping that, it all works out, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. How's yours coming?
Good. I have 2 sections. I've done the EIR for one of the sections. I haven't looked at the specific plan and I haven't looked at the other section, but at least I've got a good start, I feel.
Yeah. And Mary?
Slow start, but I'll have it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So me also slow start. I'm organized, but I haven't really spent a lot of time sitting down, going line by line yet. So it's massive, and the volumes are like this. So, but look for the high points. Look for the things that, the parts I've read already are somewhat familiar from having read the original EIR, draft EIR. So, we have a schedule that that was sent to us today by Dolores, and oh, it's up there. Oh, I have it on my piece of paper too. So
Can I make a couple of comments at this point?
yes, Karen. Of course.
So we revised this a little bit because there had been a question about the specific plan and commenting on that at the last meeting or in between. So we originally had June being comments on the specific plan and then all the sections that everyone was reading in July. So the specific plan comments can be turned in later. It's going to be it'll be in a public hearing after the DEIR, when we have a final EIR. So we kind of took it out for now, and we're gonna check in with planning staff later. You should still track your comments on that, but they're not due in the beginning of September.
Okay.
So what we were able to do, and we want to know that if this works for everyone, is to split up what everyone is reviewing for June, both June and July, and then the individual chapter comments in August. But I've heard that some of you are reviewing it differently, so definitely we can, if any of these due dates, if you turn in comments, we can send them back out with the agenda, and we can review and decide that those are agreed upon. So I don't know that we really need to go into detail revising the schedule tonight. But I think you should tell us if you think you can't do these all sections by these dates.
Karen, I cannot make the meeting in June, so I like the other schedule better. Mary and I had already nailed our specific plan comments when that came out, and I'm done with it. So this schedule just now makes me have to crunch all through June, which I didn't know a month ago.
Right. And we just kind of found that out, looked into it. We're just asked about it and then looked into it recently. I don't even know if it was at the last meeting. It was maybe at the CAP subcommittee. I know Anthony and I talked about it a little bit, right? So do you have a different suggestion? Like, I think we really want to have something due in June, something due in July, and something due in August, so that we don't have to compile everything at the last minute and people aren't inclined or tend to wait till the last minute. If that were me, that's what I would probably do. Pull a few all-nighters.
I also just want to point out that the first schedule you got was missing about 6 chapters and sections. It went to 4.16 and it's now up to 4.21. So there are quite a few more sections and chapters included in this revised schedule, which is why it's a little bit more spread out. Just keep that in mind as well.
So do you have ideas about how we can move this?
Aaron?
I can't make it. But you guys can do whatever you want, and I will get it done when I get it done. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the things that, if you have comments, even if you're not done or with your sections or whatever, you're willing for us to go ahead and submit them ahead of time or whenever we get them, as soon as we get them.
Yeah, it would be nice if you had finished a section at least, so that
Section
we
by
could-
section.
Yeah, so that we could track
Yes,
that.
of course.
So
Can I make a suggestion? So in June, if we moved the chapter 4 sections down to August and moved, moved 4.1, 4.20, and 4.21 to August. That helps you out, Aaron, right? Okay,
Tell her what they are.
hang on for a second. So 4.20 is, that's everybody, actually, and 4.21 is everyone as well. Never mind, I take that back. So
yeah, we put
the-
all the everyone ones in the
Yeah,
beginning.
first,
So
yeah.
so we can do it the other way, but I don't know if everyone
Yeah.
would be ready for all their individual ones in June either.
If you've already started.
Well,
on
it gives
your individual
everybody
ones.
who's individually responsible more time to pull it together. If we did all at once at the beginning, the majority of us will have some comments regarding that, so it doesn't put pressure on. I'm sure most of us will have similar comments anyway. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
what
already
if
started on my
oh.
individual ones,
Oh,
so
what if
I would
we-
rather not put that down and then start 6 other ones
Oh,
in a
okay.
couple of weeks.
Oh,
You know
say
what I mean?
that, sorry, say that again.
I've already started all of my individual ones, and so to put those aside and take up 6 new ones would not be efficient for me right now. I understand that you want to have plenty of time to get it together, but
So maybe do you think you can have them by the June deadline?
we're talking about a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
So, no.
No.
I have a job. Not to do them justice.
Right.
Because I've really taken a lot of time on the individual ones.
I think ultimately, Karen, we're going to get them all done, but they may come in kind of little batch modes too, and that's hard if you need help. But if we all use the template to submit the comments, I think it'll make it a lot easier, and it shouldn't be too terribly onerous. I'm hoping the draft AIR is actually pretty good. I mean, it's the second
Right.
go-around.
Right.
So I think are you guys okay if everything is just like everybody works and gets it to them as quickly as possible? And if somebody feels like they're not gonna get it done, let us know. Send a note to Karen and Dolores and Molly and me, and then we'll, think about hopping and reassigning and stuff. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, it's a little,
Chaotic?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make the target, some of you are working on your individual chapters first, to do a third of your assignment by the first month in a complete section.
Yeah.
So I'm assigned 4.5, but I also did 1 and 2. Or, I'm assigned 4.5, I'm just picking randomly, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. So I got you 4.5 and 4.6, and then I did one of the alls or something like that.
So I have another issue, actually, and this is related to what I found when I did the Quarry draft EIR. I had flags of things when I read the executive summary and the introduction that were answered later in my section. So my comments on the executive summary changed after I read my sections. And the other problem is this doesn't really allow us to do that, right?
Well, I want to suggest I just don't want to end load it too much, but I want to suggest that we're not going to finalize the full committee's comments until that third meeting.
So
But we still want to start
rather than
putting them together.
forcing us to do it piecemeal and managing our deadlines, and I'm one of those people who's not a procrastinator, so I'm not worried about me. I don't know about you guys. Okay, I'm not.
That's why I'm so old now.
So the interim deadlines might work for you, but they're gonna make my comments worse.
I hear you.
So
Aaron?
I would be happier with an earlier deadline than what you're saying for August and no interim deadlines.
So my suggestion is, Aaron, you're brilliant. Do it the way you need to do it to get the job done that you're doing.
Okay.
And I think that pretty much says the same thing for everybody, but everybody be very considerate and conscious about not end loading it for the staff. Does that sound reasonable? Are we good with that, Karen?
And we're still going to check in on this each month.
Yes, we are.
And if you finished any section, send it to us by these deadlines in bold, including you, Aaron, and we're going to send this out. You'll have a chance to look at it and you can comment in writing and we can read your comments. But we will, yes, it'll be the meeting in August where we will say, these are the final comments, so.
And if you need to change a comment, you can change a comment.
Would you rather that, or would you rather just have a comment that you can drop in and not have to think about again?
Yeah, I think we'd rather have a comment that we don't have to change, but I don't know that you will know that.
Right, I won't know that.
So if you have to change it, you have to change it. But, hopefully not, but
Okay.
if so, then we do.
Okay.
I changed comments on the Corey one at the
I might
11th hour.
I might submit what I have and ask you to not tie it in with everyone else's so that I'm sharing it and you guys can see my progress, but that way I reserve that right to change. Also, I'm a horrible writer, and so editing it later helps.
Right, understood. And then
Thank you.
I also wanted to add, which we can talk about at the time of the schedule, or just ask when we get to schedule, whether I guess if we're not going to have as many comments the first 2 meetings, I probably have my answer, whether we can do other business on these 3 nights, these next 3 next 3 committee meetings.
We should be able to, because for one thing, we still will have stuff to do on the open space element. So this can't be the only thing that we work on. That's my thought.
Yeah, so we'll schedule, like how substantial that is, but we don't have to do that
Yeah.
now.
And if we get all of the material before the meeting, a couple of days before the meeting, so that everybody has a chance to actually read through it, I think it would be really helpful. I know that's harder on the staff, but It is, like, it was really helpful to have all of that we had in this agenda packet.
Yeah, and that's what we did with the quarry. We were sending it out with the agenda packet.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Let's
Does
proceed
anyone
and-
else have any concerns or problems with where we're at or what we're doing?
I like Karen's idea of getting a third of it done and you choose which third it is. Yeah, I think that'll be workable for me.
Okay.
Gives you a little more flexibility.
My feeling is that I would want to get the ones that only I'm doing done, because the other ones, if I don't get them done, well,
Somebody
someone
else
else
will.
will cover for me,
I agree.
right? So I'm
That's
going to
how I've
focus
been-
on those ones first and then go to the others. So if I don't get them all done,
Yeah.
I won't feel bad. No one will know.
Yeah. The only thing is, because you haven't been living and breathing this the way that some of us have, you might want to make sure you read the introduction part.
Of course, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. I'll do
Oh,
it, but
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, just so you know, oh my God, they're gonna do what? No. Anything else? Everybody else good? Should we move on?
Yes. Oh,
Yes, Paul?
So I was on the committee when we reviewed the draft environmental impact report. And what I found in every chapter was the statement that mitigation measures will be done when feasible. And I don't want to call it a loophole, but it sure leaves the door open for not doing anything. So I don't know if that's something that you've discovered as you're reading through it, but that's a big statement.
It is. And I think all of us are pretty aware of that. It's the same thing as the ambiguity with, we saw in a lot of the quarry draft DIR as well. So, you know, pay attention. I bet you look up the word feasible, and it's probably in there about 3,000 times. So, yeah, good point, Paul. Thank you. All right. So next on the agenda is the open space element. Ken Johnson, you're going to give us a presentation.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm here to talk about the update to the open space element of the city's general plan, and specifically to receive feedback from the committee on the element's draft goals, policies, and programs, and those were provided to you in staff's memo. These will essentially serve as the backbone of the open space element and provide direction for future city actions. I'll take just a few minutes to introduce this topic and the process for adoption of the update, then I'll turn it over to the committee for discussion and any comments you may have. By way of background, the city's general plan contains its vision for its future. General plans have been required under state law since 1971. The law pertaining to general plans has been amended by the state over the years to include provisions governing its scope, its contents, and timing of updates of certain elements. Major topic areas in a general plan are referred to as elements, and there are 7 mandatory elements, plus the city has some of its own optional elements also included. Open space is one of those mandatory elements. Other mandatory elements include land use, circulation, housing, conservation, noise, and safety. And the open space element really covers open space, parks, and open areas. The open space is used fairly broadly as a kind of term in state law. You know, the open space element encapsulates open space, but also parks and open areas. Open space generally doesn't have improvements. It might have trails or fire access roads, but generally not much else, if anything. And parks, of course, have generally some improvements for recreation. Open areas are those areas that are on privately held land and serve kind of a dual purpose of maybe providing some setback and respite from a large development, but it could also be open for public use, in some cases even recreational use. Bay Trail and also the development of the shore at Sierra Point are examples of open areas.
So open areas do include publicly owned open areas.
Open areas are the private, so the Bay Trail is actually on private lands around Sierra Point. So
But I'm a little bit confused. What about undeveloped open areas that are owned by the city? What's that?
Oh, so Michelle, I think open space is the stuff owned by the city.
correct.
And open areas is the definition for when it's privately owned.
Okay.
Right.
Correct.
And parking lots in no way are open space, correct?
No, I would not consider a parking
Wow,
lot to be
that's a
open space.
Reasonable definition.
So the emphasis of this element is on land resources and acquiring, preserving, and maintaining land for both this and future generations. Open space lands can provide separation from natural hazards as well, which might include floodplains and preservation of Native American archaeological resources. Those kinds of things can also be provided through open space. In 2023, the state passed Senate Bill SB 1425, which requires that every city and county is to review and update its open space element by January of next year. The Senate bill requires open space elements to address three main topic areas, and this is in addition to other state laws that have been passed in recent years. And that's access to open space for all, climate resilience and other co-benefits of open space, and that's correlated with the safety element, and rewilding opportunities, such as you might see on San Bruno Mountain. Since the update is required by the 1st of next year, we are planning to bring this to City Council for adoption in the fall of this year. We started the process with the Planning Commission workshop last month, then we had a workshop with Parks and Rec Commission just 2 weeks ago, and I've reached out to our city clerk about meeting with the IDEA committee next month, so we have that on their schedule as well, because there is a inclusionary element to, or I hesitate to use the word element, there's inclusionary aspect to this element. So
Can you just scroll past something I have a question on?
Sure.
The general, I'm gonna get all the words wrong, I've been up since 4 in the morning. The general plan has an open space element.
correct.
There's also an open space plan. Can you talk about whether or not they are at all related or feed on each other?
They are, they do. So the open space element was adopted, it's an element of the general plan that was adopted in 1994. The open space plan was adopted by City Council in 2001, and it essentially takes the programs and policies from the open space element and embeds those, and then there's some more detail in terms, quite a bit of more detail in terms of mapping, and there's also some instructional information at the end of that on financing mechanisms for open space, that sort of thing. So this is really an update of the open space element, and by its nature, it's going to make the open space plan essentially
Ready for renewal.
ready for renewal, yeah.
Okay.
And so that'd be something that we may, and I'll come to you in just a second, Mary, thank you. We may want to pull forward some of the pieces of the open space plan into the element, and that's something that's, if OSEC wants to do, you can indicate that tonight, and I'm planning to look at that anyhow in further detail to see what we might pull forward. So what you see tonight is not a full fully rendered open space element, but it's just a first pass at the goals, policies, and programs. And sorry, Mary, you had a
Oh,
question?
just to comment on some of the questions Aaron's been asking, consistency in the open space definition is really important because that it affects the Baylands as well. So when you talk about open space element in the Baylands plan, their definition of open space includes a solar panel field. That's not open space. And so that's what I'm looking for, is some consistency between the consistency in the definition, so we don't call a solar field open space, because it is not.
Gotcha. Let me do this. Let me go back to the director and also the city attorney, and just I'll follow up and
Yeah, I mean, for
provide you more on
for the
that.
general public, when we say open space, people think of parks, trees, et cetera. They don't think about solar panel fields. So, and
parking
that
lots.
is in the Baylands plan that we
And
discovered.
parking lots.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
parking lots,
Yeah.
right? So,
And-
consistency is key here.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can we also get really clear indication of parking areas and parking lots and things like that while we're doing the,
Okay.
solar panel fields, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Because they've often been considered as open areas or open space when they are parking lots.
Okay.
I have a quick question. I was reviewing the quarry comments, and I noticed that people alluded to the general plan. So when you have concurrent documents, and you're not going to be done necessarily before we finish reviewing the Baylands piece, is it fair to incorporate consistency expectations between what we review in the EIR and what is now or may be in the updated open space element of the general plan?
Staff will be looking at both of these documents for consistency as we develop the open space element, so that we don't want to embed inconsistencies, as these are both moving forward at the same time.
But
So
does
we
the
will look at for
Baylands
that.
project need to be consistent with the general plan as regards conservation and biological preservation as it's written?
I think I would rather not get too deep into the general plan, into the Baylands, since, quite frankly, I'm not the expert or the lead planner on that. So but I will bring these comments back to the director who is, and make sure.
Yeah, it really is a good point, Julie.
Well,
Yeah.
it came out in the chapter that I'm looking at.
Yeah. And it was understood that there would be some changes to the general plan because of the passage of Measure JJ and what's happening out on the Baylands. So it really does need to be codified for us to be able to do a really great job on this.
Good points. So the Planning Commission will have responsibility to formally make a recommendation to City Council prior to Council's adoption, but clearly the topics of this element are the core of your charter as a committee, and so your input is extremely valuable. So again, staff's packet provided a table of comparison of goals, policies, and programs, both from the last update in 1994 and those that are now proposed. And it's been restructured in an attempt to more clearly address state law provisions. And my intent is not really to read through all of those tonight. You'll be here all night if we do. But if you have any comments on those, I highlighted in green in your packet some policies and programs in Chapter 2, and that's related to inventories and acquisitions, and also then in Chapter 3 on open space for natural resources and rewilding, which I think are most pertinent, but of course you could look at and encourage you to look at any of these goals, policies, and programs. And with that, I'll turn it over to the committee to see if you have any specific things you want to bring up. But this will come back. We'll send a more complete document back to you this summer.
I do have a very kind of specific question, but it's not necessarily on a section. I'm a huge fan of the 1994 general plan. I thought it was an amazing document, and it's 31 years old and is still so relevant for Brisbane today. And it was worked on long and hard by some very dedicated, diligent, and aware and intelligent people. And so I am prejudiced towards the 1994 general plan. I'll be really honest. It has served us very well. And when I looked at this today, when I really started to go through this, I was kind of surprised because the tenor and the comprehensiveness of what's in the preliminary draft is really does not have the same character and depth and intent that was put into the 1994 general plan. And example, policy 2.b, conserve lands that are suitable for open space wherever possible, using a wide range of options such as acquisition, dedication, and exactions on development projects. That's very cold and very just like straightforward, whereas the 1994 general plan on an ongoing basis aggressively seek opportunities to preserve open space, explore the widest range of options for preserving open space lands, including acquisition, dedication, and exactions on development projects. It seems, I mean, that's just one small example where I feel like the new text is very cold and dry and open to interpretation, and not as passionate and not as really directive as the 1994 general plan was. And I would not want us to lose that from how Brisbane is as a city and have it subject to interpretation. Oh, well, we did whatever was possible, but that was beyond what was possible. Whereas the general plan expects us to think beyond what is possible in a very flat world. And so I'm not happy with what I've read so far. And I mean, I could go and pick apart every single comment, but we're losing an incredible document under the guise of updating it to meet the state's plan. I really don't think that we should change the 1994 general plan except in the very specific areas as required by the state. The state has already put onerous things on the city of Brisbane in terms of some of their legislation. And this is another example, but this is an example where maybe we have a chance to really not be so cold and so uninspired. That's my thought of what I'm reading so far. And I was just really devastated when I started really reading each one and realizing this is what your proposed draft, early draft, very early draft of what's proposed versus the rich text and context and motivation and passion that we had in the 1994 general plan that has really guided Brisbane so well to where we are today, 31 years later, that we still have open space, that we still have habitat, that we are a community dedicated to preserving that and the quality of life that is associated with that. And I don't want to lose that for future generations. I'll be dead and gone by then. But I care about what happens in the next 100 years. And what's written here under the draft doesn't make me happy for the next 100 years compared to what was crafted in the 1994 general plan.
So are you saying it's too broad?
That
The draft language?
the
that we're
draft language,
proposing is too broad?
it's
or-
not really so much broad as just kind of like open to interpretation and does not have the motivation to do so much better on each thing that the 1994 general plan had in terms of aspirations of where we want to be 50 years from now, even 10 years from now. It just is like boilerplate to me. And this is only reading a few pages of it. So, I mean, I haven't gone into every single one of them yet because it's this, to me, this document was more important to me even than the draft EIR for the Baylands, because this is something that is relevant now. The draft EIR, will the Baylands ever get built? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it at this point. But this is relevant to everything we're doing right this minute. And I think it has a high level of importance for the Open Space and Ecology Committee and for the people of Brisbane and for the future people of Brisbane. This is our living document that we live and breathe.
Well, this
and
kind
die
of informs
Yes.
the Baylands, it informs the quarry as well.
by. It
So
informs
it-
everything we
yes,
do.
yeah.
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 So your point is well taken, and staff will take a closer look at each of these policies and programs and try to pull back the spirit that you're talking about. Some of this has been where you might have a policy or program that's kind of a compound directive, if you will, that maybe part of it addresses recreation, but maybe another part addresses rewilding. It might be split into two and look a little bit less, but on the whole, it's still saying the same thing. So we've there's a reorganization element, but we don't want to lose the intent or spirit from 1994 either. So staff will take a closer look at that. And
I know it's hard because staff really has a huge amount on their plate right now with, 2 draft EIRs, the, specific plan and all of the other things coming down. But the general plan is like our roadmap for the future. It's our roadmap for our everyday living. And it trumps forgive the expression, is more important than, as our guide, than all of the other things that are going on peripherally based on what the Baylands want to do and what the quarry wants to do, what other developers. This is the guide that
correct.
guides us.
It is the overarching policy document
Yes.
for the city, so.
And
that's
it
correct.
deserves the attention to make it as rich and robust and forward-thinking as it has been for the last 31 years.
I would concur with what Michelle saw. I probably got through 2/3 of it. And when I saw a huge delta between what was on the right and on the left, I couldn't make out on what the thought process was. It was often extremely simplified and almost as if they were trying to distill it down. And it was a little bit more legalese and a lot more prescriptive on the right. But it would be nice to know what the process is in deciding to simplify the language so much that sometimes I didn't really think they read the same way on both sides either, to be honest with you. It was almost like Cliff Notes. And then my other comment would just be that when I got to the last half and you had the solid waste and you had the this and that, I wondered why air quality didn't figure in. You had just about everything else I could think of that affects the quality of life in the city, but air quality was kind of conspicuously absent when you got down to the final piece. I personally suffer from air quality issues in my neighborhood with wood burning. And I just wondered, and as well as encouraging people to use lower zero emission cars and things, it just seemed like it would have been easy to put air quality in there as well, and it wasn't. So I just wondered why.
I'm not sure if I have an answer for you on that one.
I might have maybe answer, but think about how much more aware we are 31 years later about the issue of air quality. It has become much more of an issue in the Bay Area and in Brisbane than it was in the 90s.
I
We
think
had
if it
pretty
were-
clean air then.
If it were explicitly in the general plan, it would be easier to have more interesting comments in the transportation sections of some of these
Very much
developments
so,
where we
yeah.
know that
Yeah.
they're gonna, it's not just traffic, it's easy to just say it's gonna increase traffic, but if you increase traffic, the air quality suffers a great deal. And for those of us with asthma, it can become a real health issue. So I just think about having something that we could hang on to, because I think certainly haven't had as much experience as the rest of the committee in reviewing these, but almost any development is going to have an impact on air quality as well because of the traffic.
Yeah, and if they neglected or it was an oversight in 1994, it certainly needs to be included now. Absolutely, Julie. And
Is it possible
right.
that air quality goes in a different section of the general plan
That's-
than the open space element?
That's what I think it's really more related to the health and safety element, which there is a connection here, but what I was taking is that there should be a mention of air quality and the benefit of that from open space. So tying the
An
safety,
aspirational
health and
goal,
safety
yes.
element to the open space element, but really the bulk of air quality would be in the health and safety element.
Other questions or comments? Way forward. Paul?
So regarding open space and open areas, to Mary's point, regarding the solar farm, if that's going to be a public utility, then that's open space, the land for the solar panels. Because open space doesn't distinguish between parking lots, if it's owned by the public, or biological or any other resources. It just means public property. So it's possible that the solar farm is going to be a public utility. And if that's the case, then that's open space.
But it would have a solar farm there's something built on that space.
Well, that's okay. It just means, open space just means public property. It doesn't mean that it's valuable in any sense of the word regarding natural resources or cultural or anything else. It just means public property.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Can I have
Well-
some clarity from the planning department on that? Because, there's a lot of public property that's developed or has some use and it's not open space, like where we have our thing up on Glen Parkway.
Staff will follow up with the committee with
Okay,
a definition.
okay, because like the water tanks are not open space. They're in the middle of open space.
Well, they're public property.
And they're public property.
Yeah. So
But-
I just wanted to bring that up, that it's possible it was listed as open space because it's a public entity
Yeah.
as opposed to a private solar farm. So one other thing that I was regarding the draft environmental impact report, originally the Baylands was, it was said that Brisbane was to receive 25% open space in the Baylands. And that's like almost 175 acres. And I understand that that puts a city in a situation of having to maintain 175 acres in the Baylands. So I'm not sure where it's at now, but one thing that I read within the draft environmental impact report was that the distinction in the Baylands is open space and/or open areas. And that one word "or" could mean that we don't get any open space if it was finalized with the word "or" in there. So I'm not sure where it stands today, but that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, we could really use some clarity on that as well, because this has been a subject of discussion over the last several years of what's an open area versus what's an open space. And in the Baylands, that's particularly relevant because the point that Paul is making is relevant for not just this, but the work that we're doing on the draft EIR. If they consider they have a plaza, is that open space or open area? For example, on the new development out at the marina, there's that huge plaza on the second level of the Genesis project. Is that, and that's obviously privately owned, is that open space or is that an open area? Because even if it was on the ground level, is that an open space or open area? What is it? Some of it looks like open space, but it's not.
Through the chair, Director Bro provided from the Justia definition government code. Local open space is the open space element of a county or city general plan adopted by board or council, either as local open space plan or as interim local open space plan. Open space land is any parcel or area of land or water that is essentially unimproved and devoted to an open space use as defined in this section, and that is designated on a local, regional, or state open space plan as any of the following. And I don't know if I want to read every word of this, but kind of highlight some things. Open space for the preservation of natural resources, including but not limited to areas required for the preservation of plant and animal life, including habitat for fish, wildlife species, areas required for ecological or other scientific study purpose, rivers, streams, bays, coastal beaches, so forth. Open space open space used for managed production of resources, including but not limited to forest lands, range lands, agricultural lands, areas of economic importance for the production of food or fiber, areas required for recharge of groundwater basins, bays, estuaries, marshes, rivers, so forth. 3, open space for outdoor recreation, including but not limited to areas of outstanding scenic, historical, cultural value, areas particularly suited for park and recreation purposes, including access to lake shores, beaches, rivers, and streams, and areas serve links to major recreation and open space reservations, including utility easements, banks of rivers, streams, trails. Open space for public health and safety, including but not limited, when we touched on this, hazardous conditions such as earthquake, fault, unstable soils, floodplains, so forth. Open space in support of military installations, which we don't have in Brisbane. Open space for protection of places, features, objects described, and there's another code section that
And this is the California Building Code?
California government code, not building code.
It'd be really great if you could maybe, is anyone else interested in having a copy or a citation where we can look that up ourselves?
Chair, I can get that citation to Dolores and have her send it to all of you.
That would be really great, because then we really have a clear space. Does it have the same thing for what they consider an open area?
I'm not sure on that, but I'll look. I'll continue searching.
So our open space plan, would we be required to adopt that as the definition? Or do we have the ability to exclude some of those items?
We want to be consistent with the government code, with the state code. So I think it would make sense to me, and we can consider this more, but to provide a reference to the government code that provides the definition within our element. Not necessarily repeat every word, but also the government code gets updated, and so I think it's better in a lot of cases just to provide a reference to that definition, saying this is for compliance with this state code.
Because-
Okay.
Yeah, because I heard utilities, right? And so that would be the solar panel field,
Right.
right? And so that becomes open space. It's really not usable by the general public.
Unless you
And
put a
that-
parking lot under it.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And
All right.
just to clarify then, 25%, Paul, whether it's open space or open area, we really need to go back to the language, the legal language that was in Measure JJ. Make it, if you could, but we need to move along.
So it wasn't mentioned that plainly, open space just means public property. It doesn't mean anything more than that. It doesn't mean what's going there, what's there, what serves a purpose. And open areas are privately owned, whether they have biological resources in there and they let you have access to it, or that plaza out at the marina, that's an open area. That's privately owned. So the term open space doesn't mean anything more than publicly owned. So what you do with it or what you call it, it just means it's public.
Okay, well, I guess we need to go back and really take a good long look at what the measure said. Thank you. And any more comments on that? Ken, you look like you want to say something.
Oh, thank you.
I do have a question. Is it expected that the Baylands group that prepared the environmental report would use that exact definition from California state law?
I would certainly expect so, but
Okay.
yeah.
But do you think so?
I have not reviewed it, and it's not my place to opine on the Baylands in this setting.
Thank
But I'm sure that they have studied it diligently and would have applied it.
Okay, well, we beat that subject to death. Anything else on this, for this meeting that we should be discussing? Or what are your expectations of when we should have feedback for you, other than the feedback that we've already done tonight?
If anything comes to mind that you want to send back through Public Works staff to me, you can certainly do that. In the meantime, planning staff will be preparing more details for the element to come back to this body and taking what you have said into account.
And so Karen, can we put that on our next agenda so that we can review that? Review
Yeah.
the progress on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a, I was gonna ask Ken, is there a deadline for completion?
January 1st?
The January 1st is the deadline for completion, yes. My hope is to release a draft back to the commissions and committees this summer, July, August kind of timeframe, and to get it to the Planning Commission beyond workshop, but actually public hearing probably in September, and get it to council hopefully in October. So I'd look to get something back to you all and by August is my hope.
One
if-
thing,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
go
One
ahead.
thing that would be really helpful is to know exactly which ones have to be changed because of California state law versus just changing it. Do you know what I mean?
I do. It may be. So my intent with the table here is to show the state law in that far left-hand column, and then the policies and programs that essentially answer that, then to the right of it. And so if there's, I don't know, if you have examples, I guess, of what you're concerned specifically about losing, that might be helpful for staff to pull forward and bring back to you.
Okay.
So can I just ask a hypothetical? So given the definition that you ran off there a few minutes ago, and knowing that open space, it's public, right? It's not private, open space element, whatever. Someone could come in, if we had open space, they could convert that to multiple solar fields, right? And it would still be considered open space.
Only if it was a public utility, I guess.
Well,
Public utilities, yeah.
yeah, if someone is the city, but if it's a private entity, it's not open space.
Right.
So,
So like the Martin substation, which is owned by PG&E, is not open space,
Okay,
right,
period.
okay.
it's a completely developed site for a tank farm. Or, excuse me, I'm
For-
convoluting.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
okay.
thinking Kinder Morgan.
I got it, okay.
And so unless the solar farm out at the Baylands was given to the city of Brisbane, it would be not open space. It would be open area.
Open area.
Or not open area. It would be developed.
But it counts towards the 25% open space.
Depends how it's written in Measure JJ and what the law says. If it says open space or open area, yeah. If it just says open space, then no.
Okay,
That's why we need to go back and look at that.
okay, got it, okay, thank you.
I just had a clarifying question going back to the air quality thing. I'm assuming that greenhouse gas emissions and that would be treated as a separate thing, right? The open space, we're considering basically the x-axis and everything in the z-axis is off the table.
Yeah, I would say that greenhouse gases fit more into the other elements than open space.
Okay,
Although
yeah.
they're related, but they're, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
So the California state law is just making us change the open element. Open,
It's down here.
yeah.
Don't look up.
Oh, well, no, you can look up because, you could propose a change to the general plan as well that's not related to
Just a
the
different
state
section.
mandates.
And I should mention also that I think and I'm stepping out here beyond what is scheduled on anybody's calendar, but I think after the Baylands, after this, probably in the next few years, would be my guess, would be probably a more holistic update of the general plan. All the elements that was started way back in around 2005, 2006, and then the Baylands draft specific plan was issued in 2006, and it was such a big project that and broad implications that the general plan update that was undertaken at that time was put on hold, and I think that'll come back.
And there have been updates to the general plan during the 31 years.
Correct.
The overall framework of the general plan and the overall intent of it has remained pretty solid.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I just wanted
it's
to
a
make
living
sure we're-
document.
I wanted to know sort of what the parameters were, where to push on what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good question.
And then just real quickly, going back to the 3 items that you started off with, equity of access, climate resilience, rewilding. If there's anything that specifically speaks to climate resilience, I didn't see it in my quick perusal, so if there's anything you could call out that specifically addresses that, rather than having to read through it, that would be
Yeah.
great.
So a new policy that's proposed, this is on
These would be
page
new, I
12.
think, right?
Yeah, so this would be the second column in that table, policy 8A.
So they didn't
Is-
exist in the 1994 plan, I think, is what I was trying to say.
That's correct.
Those are pretty much
That's
all
what's
going to be
by-
new.
meant by
Okay,
new.
Thanks, that's what I
Go
thought.
ahead.
Or reasonable and feasible utilize open space to provide for safety buffers from existing and prospective hazards as identified in the safety element. So it's really a cross-reference to what's in the safety element, and then there's a couple programs that follow that as well.
Back to my air quality issue, that you're starting
Right.
to see the overlap.
Yeah, so we
No, I
can,
appreciate that.
we could put something on air in there.
So you're definitely open to suggestions.
Yes.
Okay.
Just one question for the chair. What do you want to agendize just to,
Just sort of like a
Discuss?
progress report and an update, maybe where things are at, in the next month.
okay,
Yeah.
All right.
And that the committee is, if any suggestions that you want to make to,
I see the schedule train wreck of talking about the Baylands draft environmental impact report and your final proposed amendments to this all happening in August. So I just throwing that out there.
that's why it's kind of like maybe a progress report in July and then, do you want us to final channel, any commentary directly to you, Ken, or through Karen and Molly?
I would say through public works staff, and they can then direct it to me.
Okay,
our next meeting is June.
yeah, June. No, I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
but Ken said that his plan was to have his updated final draft out to all the
Yeah.
affected
I
committees.
understand
Yeah.
the conflict, but I was just responding to Michelle said, at our next meeting, you said July, so.
oh, I'm sorry. You know, time is warped.
Yes,
So let's,
the load.
yeah, if you
Grows.
have comments, I would send them as soon as you have them to Karen and Molly to forward to Ken on this, or Dolores, who to send it to? You, Karen?
Send it to Karen and Molly.
Okay, to Karen and Molly. Dolores can go like this. And as soon as something seems relevant, and then maybe it can get incorporated, and then we can review it again and totally. This is right in our wheelhouse, so
Yeah, thank you. It was-
Thank you.
It's very helpful.
Appreciate it.
And timely. Give us some time.
Yes.
to-
yeah.
Right. Appreciate your comments, and I'll look forward to more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we on the agenda? I'm completely lost now.
Staff updates.
Oh, yes, here we go. Chicken and staff updates.
I don't think I have any specific staff updates. No. We're just kind of figuring out who's gonna do what while Adrian's gone, so we haven't really gotten any meaty updates for you.
Okay, she probably realizes that she's very missed.
I hope so.
Yeah, but you guys are doing a great job hanging together. So let's go on to, wait, back, do we have any, staff updates, okay. Subcommittee reports and reorganization. First one's events. Well, we definitely had a very happy Frog Day event. That was wonderful. And we also had a really good Habitat Day, which was also great. Oh my God. It was awesome. They all kind of happened at the same time. And we need to be thinking about Day in the Park.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
And it looks like we only have 2 people on events now, you and me.
Mhm.
Let's plan a party.
Okay. Day in the
Okay.
park? You gonna play?
Yeah, okay. Anybody else want to be on Day in the Park committee, subcommittee?
I've been debating saying it, but I figured Paul will leave before I get to tell him privately. I felt reinvigorated after that frog habitat restoration day, and in a way that I don't usually with Habitat Day. I mean, they're great, but it was well timed and needed, and the educational aspect between you and Julie, basically knowing everything, it was great. So I look forward to the next one.
I would
Here,
just second that you were so organized, Paul. You had done so much work before we even showed up. And I just saw the looks on people's faces at the end. And you made people feel very positive about making a difference. And I know I felt that way. I know my dog felt that way. It was very cool that we actually saw frogs and tadpoles. And so a whole lot of that is you. And I do think I wish we'd had before and after pictures. But I was so impressed by how many weeds those people pulled. It was a weed pulling thing. And so, yeah, I just want to make sure we keep the momentum going in terms of the stewardship.
I agree. So going down the list,
Oh, I just have a quick question about the Dark Skies hike. If that's going to be a thing this year that you guys wanted to do, or if that's on your
Then
radar.
under schedule.
Okay.
what do you guys think?
I looked up the Perseid meteor shower finally for Aaron before this meeting. And they're saying it's pretty good. The moon's going to be waning. It's a little bit closer to the full moon than they would like. It's in August. I think it was the 11th and 12th was the best viewing.
Did I send that spreadsheet I did with all the moonrise, moonrise?
I think you sent it and then said, but any date is great, it doesn't matter. So I didn't really know what to do with that.
Okay. Well, it looks like normally this would replace a regular meeting. And it looks like our regular meetings are pretty full for the next 3 meetings.
Yeah.
Can we do it without replacing a regular meeting, or does that somehow violate the Brown Act?
Oh, that's right.
If we invite all of the public in town to go, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, you could think of
mean,
it as an
it's like a
event
Habitat Day.
instead. Yeah, as an event.
You want to do this an event?
I'm okay with August 11 or 12. I think we just need to make sure that staff is okay to support an extra weeknight of the month.
Yeah, I guess we still need waivers and sign in, and we carpooled people up that couldn't walk. Yeah.
Where's my calendar?
Yeah, what the 11th and 12th of August were. I didn't look that part up.
Yeah, I don't have my paper calendar with me, but
August 11 is a Monday.
Okay.
Either works for me.
calendar, August 11th is a Monday. Monday nights are good.
Yeah.
Are Monday nights good? We don't have council meetings on Monday nights anymore. Should we plan to have an event on August 11th?
If staff can support, I'm down.
And are we gonna do the same hike up the road?
From Firth Park, and
Uh-huh.
then I can drive people up that have mobility issues.
And if it's cloudy and foggy, we just do it anyway.
Well, cloudy and foggy is actually kind of amazing because
Of Albedo.
dark skies violations are particularly annoying when it's cloudy and foggy. And so the whole point isn't really to go see the Perseids, you can do that on your own, is to discuss the dark skies issues that we have and what we need to do to mitigate that. And so if it happens to be a foggy night, it'll be even more exciting. If it's a windy night, I'm staying home. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so let's count on August 11th and start working on, staff is okay with that? Because we're gonna need support with the flyer.
Yeah,
and
I can be there. I
writing.
don't
And
want to
it-
speak for anyone else, but
But also we'll need to do a flyer and, promote it and that kind of thing.
yeah,
Okay,
we can do that.
August 11th.
They said the best viewing was at 11 p.m. Just
It's a school night. No,
I'm
it's
just
not.
saying. That's what it said.
It's a school night.
What time did we start last year.
That's a good point. When is sunset on
I want to
August
say we
11?
met before it got dark and walked up while it was still kind of light out.
Why don't you guys, the two of you on the events committee, kind of rough it out and then get in touch with me?
Okay.
Okay.
We
That
will
sounds
do
great.
that. Okay, now, the next thing is education and outreach.
As I mentioned earlier, we met, a week and a half ago, to talk about the library display. And given that we really hadn't provided the results of the frog habitat, we took it upon ourselves to say, oh, this is perfect timing to have a display of the chorus frogs at the library. So that's been put in place. We also are going to provide, I think, some coloring books of frogs and the lifespan of a frog, pulling that together for the kids. Also spoke about going forward on other different ideas for upcoming displays, because we have to do this every quarter. So there was a lot of great ideas put forth. And Dolores, I think you have a list of those ideas. Julie brought up a great point on how to incorporate the grabber program in with, what was it, the frog habitat or cleanup.
We did
right?
pick up a lot of trash.
A
during
lot
that
of trash,
event.
right?
Yeah.
So to kind of promote that once again and kind of tie it all in. I don't know, am I leaving anything out or?
I don't know if you found any of the coloring book things useful, but I was thinking if you were going to print them, maybe we could double-side it and put some specific facts about the natural history of our frog on the back. That's why I sent you all those lovely links that had all kinds of dense scientific things. And I can distill that if you don't have time to go through it.
Oh, yeah, I could
But I thought
definitely.
it would be kind of cool to have the whole life cycle on the front and then have something specifically about Pseudacarus regula. Yes, I had to say it, on the other side.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. And Paul, while I have you here, I'll be giving you a call tomorrow if you're available, so we can discuss a little bit more about the habitat stewards and
Yeah, we
just
thought we would
any
work that
frog knowledge you would like to impart on the display as well.
So back in 2013, I was on the board with San Bruno Mountain Watch, and we had a film made. It's called The Industrial Wetlands on YouTube that I would like to include, and I wanted to include it before we had our event so people could see it in all its glory, but it's only 9.5 minutes, and it won the Bernal Heights Film Festival's award in 2014, Audience Appreciation Award, and that's a big deal, the Bernal Heights Film Festivals. So it's pretty telling. It's a great video. Industrial Wetlands, Brisbane, California,
I
on
have
YouTube.
a question. Does the library have something
We
where?
brought that up. We brought that up in our
Hyperlinks.
meeting
Yeah.
about maybe getting a computer or laptop maybe set up to have it point it to that YouTube video, just to give people a little background
You'd want that.
if they haven't seen it.
And then they could wear earphones because it's a library. and
Yeah,
watch
right,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I can check on that for sure, but they
Yeah.
definitely did say they have enough material
I was gonna
for
ask
about
about the
frogs
books.
and amphibians and all the books and for children and adults, and they're pretty excited about the display so far. So
Oh, good.
Yeah, but that different multimedia thing would be really
It'd be nice,
hot.
yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
If-
And it's such a compelling story.
Yes.
If they can't do that for the noise or the equipment or anything, you could QR code a link to the video.
Cool.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hands it on their phone, watch
The
it
other
on
thing
their
that
phone.
came up in the
Yeah.
meeting, Molly, I think it was your idea, was the idea of a mural with the frog.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
find out any information about trying to get an artist to do that anywhere in Brisbane?
No, I haven't done any research
Okay.
yet, but we can look into that.
We were thinking we needed a frog mascot,
Yeah, we could, yeah.
that beautiful chartreuse color.
Yeah.
I know a railroad tunnel we could do that in. No. Okay, next is climate action.
Yeah, I have completely lost track of time at this point. Was that meeting that we had between meetings now?
Yeah, it was right after our last OSEC meeting. Yeah.
Okay. So we did, we met and had some great follow-up with our guests, Karen Lentz and Kevin Fryer, talking mainly about their public art fund and their experience, bringing that into being, and got. I think we had a really robust discussion, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear to me we've got a lot of work to do to kind of flesh out the contours of what a climate resilience fund would look like for the city. We've got a lot of work left to do there. So more to come.
Okay, open space plan update. Well, to be
We talked
continued
about it,
later. Crocker Trail habitat, we've talked about that extensively. Is there any
Yeah.
other things on
Just
that?
one more thing I had mentioned, when we go to the calendar, we'll update the calendar to include quarterly maintenance for the habitat. In addition, Molly had mentioned about the mural. I don't think we ran that by you, Paul, but it was a great idea of getting a mural along the habitat, along with signage that Julie spoke about earlier. So those are on our to-do list, is to get the signage, and hopefully maybe the Public Art Fund could fund a mural if the owner allows us to put something along the wall there. It would be beautiful. It'd be icing on the cake. I think that's it.
I have
One more quick, sorry. Just one more quick thing, Paul. We wanted to involve you in making all this outreach to the community about where the frogs are. Is there anything in specifically that you'd want us to educate people on what not to do? Like, don't walk where the frogs are and step on them, or don't throw anything in the water. We wanted to make sure that if you had any concerns about that becoming a popular place to go, that we also thought about any prohibitions. There's a certain time of year when you can walk in and weed. Other times you're doing more damage than you're good. Just things like that.
Yeah, and that goes to your points about signage. Yeah. And there's a woman, she used to work here at the vegan Filipino place, and she has a beautiful garden over on Phelps Street in the Bayview. And she's offered to, she's an artist, and she's offered to make a display for the site when the site was sanctioned by the city. I didn't want to do it when it was just a handful of us working out there, but now that it's actually moving forward, I'm going to reach out to her as well for this opportunity to have her make up this beautiful sign. So, but yeah, we should have signs out there. Thank you.
So what I was going to say is that we can have, because of the size of the committee, we can have up to 3 people on a subcommittee. And currently, there's only 2 on the frog subcommittee.
Actually, I
thought
volunteered
Julie
to
was
be on
on.
the frog habitat.
Okay,
committee a
can you
couple
add
meetings
Julie?
ago.
Yeah.
I think it just didn't get into the
Oh,
Excel
good.
file.
All right, because you
So too.
I was on
really
Team
belong
Frog
there.
from
Yeah,
the
you're
beginning.
Team Frog girl.
As soon as
Okay.
Paul made his presentation,
Yeah.
he had me at frog.
So
Yep.
can we get that corrected on our list? Thank you. And then tree issues. Wow, did you guys happen to see what they sent this afternoon about the work that Bob has done with the tree tool and canopy and everything?
yeah.
Kind of blew me away. I'm gonna, if I ever finish all my reading, I'm gonna want to spend some time with that tool. It was really awesome. Check it out. It's interactive. It came today, the link to Bob's work, Bob Sage's work on the tree inventory tool.
It came how? Sorry.
Via email, the links to be able to go and
Oh,
access it.
okay.
Yeah.
Must have been after I checked my emails.
It
It's
was,
okay.
yeah.
There were a lot of emails.
Yeah, I sent it out about 2 hours before the meeting, so But yeah.
Got it. That makes sense.
I woke up from a short nap and I went, oh my God. It was so exciting. Okay. And we were going to try to have a tree meeting, weren't we? Soon? It's kind of been busy.
Come by after and we can talk about,
Okay.
if
Okay.
not specific, at least general times that work.
Yeah. Paul, you're gonna have to get on the committee if you want to keep talking this much. Yeah.
Rationing.
So it's my understanding that in our future, we're going to have to start planting many, many trees. And I would volunteer, like I volunteered to get the Mission Blue Nursery built, primarily with donated materials and all of volunteer work that it took to build it. There's a beautiful site for the city to be able to have our own tree nursery. And, you know, we needed to plant trees that provide food for biodiversity for, you know, like coast live oaks provide over 600 species with food. And the problem with trees, especially like coast live oaks and a few others that are native trees, is most of them are grown in the interior part of the Bay Area. And that doesn't do well here when we don't get locally sourced acorns and locally sourced seeds that are, you know, evolved with this climate. And so there's a really beautiful site that is adjacent to that dog training facility off of South Hill. And it's that old railroad spur that runs from South Hill across from where Dolby used to be towards the dog park. And so I was hoping that the city, because it's years down the road, would consider having our own tree nursery to grow our own trees and locally sourced acorns or seeds.
Yeah, the committee has discussed that. It's one of the things that we've been discussing. And we've also discussed a lot of different options in our last meeting, Paul, if you want to go back and look at that video or whatever they call them now. Because there's a lot of issues. It's not just planting trees, but it's also caring for the trees that we have and also getting rid of trees that are dangerous and shifting the canopy. And one of the things I learned when I did Bob's Tree Tool this afternoon, briefly, is that we have over 10% of the trees on the city of Brisbane's property are coast live oak. There you go. Except that it's only outnumbered by Eucalyptus globulus, one of the 604 species of eucalyptus. They imported the wrong one. But anyway, but good point. We're looking at all the different issues. So and that's the work, part of the work the subcommittee's doing, including thoughts about having individuals grow trees. There's a lot there. And that actually brought me to a question that I wrote down tonight. And Randy, I'm glad you're here because we really put you on the spot in the last meeting. And my question was, when will the tree plan be brought to Brisbane City Council for dollar approval? And is there anything we can do to help with that?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow.
Correct.
And do you want to tell us what you put in for, or should we let it be a surprise?
I would love to tell you, but considering that I had 15 divisions to do, I don't remember that number off the top of my head.
Okay, because I know we pressed you pretty hard to ask for all of it. And
I think we did put it in for
We
3 years.
recommended 3 years.
what, Karen?
We asked for the amount of money in 3 years.
Right, we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Keep your fingers crossed. And also, Randy, thank you for finally taking care of that one tree that had me so worried down at the marina.
Oh, sure, the one by the first restroom.
Yeah.
No problem. You're welcome.
And the subcommittee was going to try to meet with the Brisbane Fire Department, or whatever we call them now, and we haven't done that yet. We haven't gotten together to do that.
Yeah, that'd be a good next thing to do, huh?
Yeah, we need to do that, and really kind of talk through different, so that we're all on the same page as we move forward.
Agree, yeah.
So it's just been crazy busy, and Barbara's really busy time, and Mary works full-time, and yeah, so, well, are they ever available to meet in the evening, do you know? Or would I just ask
If
them?
he's a battalion chief, he might be, I think, yeah.
Because that might make it a little easier to have a little sit-down and just,
And you would prefer that, well, we'll talk offline, but you'd prefer that to doing a Zoom meeting at the lunch hour or something, because I know
I
that.
think so. Zoom meeting's so distracted, and face-to-face is really always better.
Okay.
If possible. Okay, and I think that was everything on the subcommittee list. So next would be, except for, of course, the Baylands specific plans, which I see highlighted.
Yeah, I'm not sure why those are highlighted here.
I highlighted those because there's a couple of outstanding chapters that are not on that list. There's just chapters 9 and 10. I don't know if you wanted to put those in with.
What are chapters 9 and 10, Dolores?
They are subsequent EIR analysis and EIR preparation staff.
Are those things that, I don't know, do we, that's really, I don't think they're on the list because they're not really that relevant, are they? Since it's already, the draft EIRs. Tell me again what they are?
Subsequent EIR analysis, that's chapter 9. It's about, from what I can recall, 20 pages.
Okay, I'll do that one. And what's the other
Four
one?
is not on this list, is that?
4, that's the shared one between
Got it.
between everybody. And then 1 and 2 is also the introduction and general environmental planning and context, which is everyone as well.
And what was number 10?
10 is preparation, staff, and resources. So I think that one probably is not
I think that's been
important to
taken
me.
care of.
Yeah. So just 9 for you. Okay.
Okay. Unless someone else wants 9. Okay. All right. Calendar items.
Oops, can I
Oh,
just ask
yes,
one more question
of course.
on the tree issue? And going to, Randy, I think this is for you, going to council next Thursday. I'm not sure what, you can't say anything, but it's either a 3 or 5 year. We're gonna, OSEC recommended 3 years, the spend over 3 years.
Ruining my secret.
I know, but are you going to council with the proposed 23% goal, canopy goal over the next multiple years? Is that, no, that's not on
No,
the
not yet.
agenda.
No.
No, okay. Alrighty, thank you. Okay.
Okay. I noticed that you're not on any subcommittees yet.
I thought
But we
that there was
talked
a
about that,
different
yeah.
list. This might be an older list before my name got on there, right? I was going to ask you about that. But we can look at it later on the
Okay.
subcommittee list.
Okay.
I remember that as well. Was it last meeting that we
Yeah.
talked about those, or the meeting before?
I think it was the last.
First meeting, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Was your first meeting?
So can we go back and pick those up and have, make
did
sure
you-
you're included?
Did you get put on, did you?
I thought so. I just don't remember which ones. It seemed like a different list.
Well, you're gonna get a meeting invite.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
No?
If you feel left out of anything, you need to speak up. Be bold. Everyone else is. Let's go on to, yes, calendar items.
So we're gonna add this dark sky event in August, and my earlier question was, do we have time to do other items? We've invited Peninsula Clean Energy to talk about their new programs next month. We okay with that?
I think we might be kind of full next month, or what's the appetite?
We have a lot on our plate with the EIR.
Do you think September would be okay for Peninsula Clean Energy? Or is that,
Yeah, I think it's okay. Probably, I'll check. probably okay on their part.
Because Sunseras, coastal cleanup, star articles, you know,
So you just want to do Baylands,
and the review of the open space element.
right? That's a good point. Okay. We will
Yeah,
add that.
I think that's what our summer is gonna be about. Those are really, really important issues, and they are time consuming.
Definitely.
And Peninsula Clean Energy is wonderful, and it's just chugging along, lighting our lives up. Okay, and then habitat, are we having a summer habitat, event?
I don't know. Might be nice to do the dark sky instead of that, considering,
I think that might be okay. Yeah, because we have a pretty busy schedule.
When is the best time to yank broom off of?
I know, I was
ice
thinking the same
houses?
thing.
Not
yeah.
now. The
Oh, not
best
now.
time is in the spring when it's wet,
Okay.
or in the winter when it's wet. When it's dry like it is right now,
I heard that we needed to get out in front of it before it became established, and now I'm hearing that this isn't the time to do it. So which is it?
that's not public property, right?
Can't read that.
well,
signal.
first of all, Julie, we would have to get permission.
Right.
I was
from-
going to ask what the
from the
access
Baylands.
is. Okay.
Okay, we don't have permission. And this time of year, it is really difficult to pull broom. It has stopped raining. And you can look at Paul all you want, but I've pulled over, 2,000 brooms, so.
If it's cut though, that high off the ground, when you peel it like a banana, it won't stump sprout. That's one way of doing it when it's in hard ground, plus it doesn't disturb the ground.
Well, in cases of really large, but that's not something we would do with a volunteer event, Paul. That's,
I just was making the point
Yeah.
that when the ground's dry, you can
Kill
cut
it.
and peel.
yeah. But when we have a volunteer event, we are usually using the weed wrenches and taking care of all the little stuff and the big stuff and everything. But first we would have to secure permission.
I'm just curious, from who?
Baylands, they own it.
That's an entity? I'm sorry.
Baylands Development Incorporated, yeah, the draft EIR we're working on, those people. Yeah, so it's not our property.
What is our usual summer habitat restoration event?
We've done a variety of different things over the years. Help me, Karen.
Ivy in the canyons where it's
Yeah.
shady.
Ivy in the
Yeah.
canyons where it's shady. We've done that a lot. There are definitely some canyons that need some work, but
I feel like we can't do it all.
yeah, I think we're gonna give a pass on the summer unless someone comes up with a brilliant idea that we really have to do. We've had a lot on our plate this year, and we're gonna be doing the event with the Dark Skies Walk.
Maybe in case anybody is looking forward to it, we'll just have a little asterisk on the dark sky flyer that says, instead of a summer habitat event this year,
Yeah,
we're doing
and
this.
in the meanwhile, I can reach out to the Baylands and ask about doing habitat on Ice House Hill.
I'm just wondering, maybe when we talk to fire, if it's part of what they require for weed abatement.
Broom? No, otherwise it
No.
wouldn't be all over the place up
No.
there.
Okay.
Chair, why don't you let staff do that once the committee decides? Just because we do have existing easements up there, and we may be able to approach it under a different viewpoint instead of just saying,
Hey,
can we have your permission to do this? We can say, we think that doing this would be consistent with our easement. Do you agree? And it can be a different discussion instead of just sort of
Randy,
asking
if
for
you'd
an
like to
overview.
ask, that'd
I
be
don't mind.
just great.
Happy to do it.
And sooner is better, because once we have permission, then we can schedule it as soon as the rains start.
Okay, sure, I'll take that on.
Yeah.
Just a side note, I went back through the minutes from the past 3 meetings, and I only have you, Rohendra, on Baylands Specific Plan Chapter 6. There was no other subcommittees that you were joining the
Okay.
minutes.
Rohendra, between now and the next meeting, by now you know pretty much what all the different committees do. I want you to think about which ones you would just love to be on.
And there are ones for each specific plan, are there?
No,
Sections?
the
No.
Baylands specific plan and
Is the
all of
one.
that was the
Right.
only thing that we had assigned you at that point, I guess, from what Dolores is saying. But I'm talking about the regular,
These committees here.
these committees
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
So think about, and, you know.
You have to be on 4 of them.
Okay.
And you could, you know, if there's somebody who's been on one for a really long time, you can always knock them off of it if, or ask to,
Yeah.
you know, but we can have it. And often we form ad hoc subcommittees as well. So think about what you really want to do.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. You might really want to be on climate action.
Staff,
With,
I was gonna say, no pressure, but staff thought the same, that
Okay,
would be.
okay. Yeah,
Do you
I would
wanna
do that.
We'd
do
love to
that?
have you
Yeah.
there if you're interested.
Right.
So
No,
let's
I'd be
just do that.
interested, right.
Yeah, because I think
Sure.
you'd be great at that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Back to calendar. Are we done with calendar?
No, can we add the frog habitat maintenance? Take a look at what months. We can just drop it in the last column so we don't forget.
Okay.
I don't know, Paul, what do you think?
I was gonna say Dolores is gonna circle back with Paul, so you can.
Oh, okay, and then you'll drop them in, Dolores. Perfect, thank you. Okay.
And it looks like her coastal cleanup day, it does look like the yacht club is going to have some kind of event that same day.
Okay.
And so we can coordinate that day in the park and then winter cleanup. And winter cleanup, I mean, winter cleanup might end up being pulling broom on Ice House Hill.
Yep.
If we get permission, Randy. Honestly, pulling broom in the winter is a fun thing. Pulling broom in summer is not fun. And that's it for calendar items? Sharing committee matters? Oh, look at that.
There's the picture that we were looking for.
Yeah, this was in the
Look at all
blast,
those
right? I saw
people,
that.
Mary.
This
yeah.
was in
Oh
the
my
Star.
gosh.
And
Oh,
Julie, your
thanks.
article will
Yeah.
be in the blast probably for our library display.
The backside
Date.
of my dog. No, I know that my article is very dated. I just wanted to make sure that Paul's wife got acknowledgement for fetching the food. She was a trooper.
Caroline said she'll put it in the blast for us, so don't worry.
Mary, your picture of the critter isn't there. It's too bad.
I know, because I didn't.
That was such a
send
good
it.
picture of the
Yes.
critter.
Oh.
The exoskeleton.
That's sweet. I'd already left by then. Okay, onward.
Yeah.
Sharing committee matters, anybody? Anything else? Next meeting is June 25th. Anything else that we will need to talk about or anything else, or are we ready for adjournment?
Can I ask a question or, sorry, I know, shut up, Mary. So I just wanted to thank the city for the big rocks that are in front of the skate park. It looks great. And I think it was in Facebook, I think Michael Barnes kind of praised the fact that they're free, they're from the quarry. So any chance in getting those boulders down Quarry Road to kind of fill in the empty spots? That'd be kind of cool. Kind of would fill in those areas where I'm always scared someone's going to fall off.
We'd have to take a look at that.
Okay, all right.
They are beautiful rocks, Randy.
No,
and
they are. They're gorgeous.
So
Yeah.
placed so wonderfully by your crew.
I'm going to give credit to Keegan Black, who is the Buildings and Grounds team leader that reports directly to Karen for doing that.
Oh, perfect.
That was mostly done with his own initiative.
He gets kudos. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right.
they're definitely cuter than the bollards were.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Sorry.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So.